Welcome to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, the home for financial advice in a language you can understand. Created by Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial, he and his team of certified financial planner professionals will discuss timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. And now, get ready for this week's edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial. My name is Marc Freedman.
And I'm Marian Gilman.
And we're here to provide you with some financial advice in a language you can understand. We are past the election.
Finally, we don't have to listen to that anymore. I'm not getting texts anymore.
No, those
My text messages
deluge
have
of
gone
daily
down.
texts. Give $5 here, give $10 here.
Yep.
We'll up this by 700% if you give this. Done.
Yay.
Done. Now, I know there are some people that are very excited about the outcome, other people that are very disappointed about the outcome, but it's the outcome.
We have to move on.
And we have to move on. Like it or not, this is what the next 4 years will be.
Yeah.
And like we've said in the months and weeks leading up to it, it really doesn't matter who won. It really, really doesn't.
For the stock market.
For the stock market, for
Yeah.
the economy.
Right.
We're going to be okay.
We will.
Regardless of how you feel about the person that won, the people that are selected, the people that lost, the whole political aspect of it, we're all going to be fine.
We've proven over and over that we are a very resilient nation. So we will be fine. We'll get through this just like we've gotten through every other challenge or every other administration, every other president. We will do that.
And as we did suggest, though I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, though it was rather obvious to say this, but if Donald Trump did win the election, the stock market was going to respond positively because they see that as an opportunity for taxes to either stabilize or go down, the economy to improve, and we've certainly seen that happen, right?
We certainly have, yes. It's been remarkable, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was the biggest comeback or biggest up day after any election. This past,
it's been pretty remarkable. And it hasn't even been, it is volatile because it went in one direction, but some people say when it goes in one direction, that isn't volatile. It still is. I mean, it was a big move. But to top this off, I don't even know if you saw this, just as I walked in here, it appears that the red wave is complete.
That the Senate,
it looks like the Republicans will have
the House of Representatives.
As well.
Actually, okay.
Which can be good and bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's not as much of a checks and balances in that case.
That's right. So, which suggests to me that while Donald Trump and his team will likely get a lot of things to go through that might have been met with some challenges if we had a split House and a split Congress, we may overshoot on one side, and then you're going to have to pull back a little bit. And that could create some volatility as well. Right.
And we'll have to see what happens in the midterm elections. See, he will typically, under this scenario, likely have 2 years where, it will be a red wave.
Absolutely.
And then you don't know what's going to happen.
Who
but
knows?
In any event, as we've said, it's likely that we will certainly survive, and we will certainly continue to thrive in the long term.
Yeah, long term, not worried at all.
Nope.
Frankly, the short term, I'm not worried at all, because if we focus on the conversation we had last week, or a couple weeks ago, I guess, of focusing on what you can control versus what you can't control, you're going to be just fine.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that we thought we'd bring to your attention today was a conversation that I had this week with a prospect who has been reading our newsletter week after week, year after year. He's been getting it for years, actually. I'm not quite sure how he got our newsletter, how he signed up for it. And by the way, if you'd like to get our newsletter, you go to our website, freedmanfinancial.com. That's Freedman.
2 E's and a D.
Financial.com. Go to the bottom of any page, put in your name and your email address, and you can join the over 7,000 subscribers that get our newsletter every Friday at 10:30. But nevertheless, he told me he's in his mid-60s. He's approaching retirement. His wife's a little bit younger than he is. And he has had most of his money invested, split between Fidelity, in the Fidelity, what's called Portfolio Advisory Services Program, which is their advisory services
It's
program.
a managed account, similar to our managed accounts, where somebody has discretion on the accounts, meaning they can set it up and trade as needed. You've given them the authorization to do that. They select an investment portfolio within the scope of what you've discussed, and then they then go on to manage it. There is an
Right.
advisory fee associated
Right, you
with
pay
this.
that advisory fee based on
Correct.
the assets under management, and that's how it works. I mean,
Yep.
you pay that fee.
That's the PAS program.
That's the PAS program at Fidelity. Secondarily, he put his other half of his money with Fisher Investments. And if you've watched a lot of the television commercials lately, you've seen a lot of Fisher Investment in, advertisements that talk about how they place your interests first, how there is no commissions, and there is not, just as there is no commissions at Fidelity. And they also build out an investment management portfolio for which he says he pays a fee. So I was curious as to what he was calling us about. He said he's been very happy with the performance in both his Fidelity account and his Fisher Investments account. He says, but when I read about what you do, Marc, at Freedman Financial, and I read your newsletter, he says, you seem to offer advice on a far wider array of components in one's financial life as part of the relationship. And he says, I don't get that at Fidelity. I don't get that at Fisher. Can you try to explain what you do? How is it similar with what you do? And how is it different? Marion, maybe you can kind of share what it is that we do that's a little bit different.
Well, we take a much more holistic view. We get to know our clients. We want to know everything about the client. We do comprehensive financial planning, meaning that we look at everything that's included in your net worth. So we understand what types of accounts you have, where they are, what's included in them, whether it's bank accounts, house, investment properties, as well as 401ks, 403bs, just general investment accounts. We want to be sure we understand everything. We also look at insurance. What type of household do you have? Are you a married couple? Are you supporting children still? Are they young? Are they older? What kind of financial responsibilities do you have? We look at what your goals are. Very important. Like, where are you going with this money? Because we want to understand what the goals are for the money and what your profile is. What's your risk tolerance before we make any investment recommendations?
And to us, that's what it means to be a fiduciary.
Exactly.
If we're going to place your interests first, we need to know where everything is and what everything is worth. We need to know how much money comes into the household and how much goes out. Who owns what, how it's all structured. So I asked him.
And how much you spend.
And right, how much, that's right. That's how much goes out of the household.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, so to what extent did Fidelity ask you those questions? And he says, well, at Fidelity, they asked me a couple questions, but for the most part, they were going to take my money and put it into an investment portfolio. And don't get me wrong, the investment portfolio is done okay. I said, how about at Fisher? He says, well, at Fisher, they asked me a lot of questions. And I told them I owned a house and I owned this and I had that. I said, did they verify it? No. He said, and I thought, well, how can someone who's placing your interests first make decisions without verifying all the things that you have? Because one of the things that I know, Marion, we've learned when we work with clients is what clients tell us what they have and how they own it versus what they really have and how they own it is very different, isn't it?
It could be, and it's not because they're lying to us.
No.
It's because there are certain types of investments, certain types of accounts that are very difficult to understand. And it's not the average type of an account you might, talk about. For instance, a beneficiary IRA. What is this? This is a very unusual type of an account. You might not understand what that means and how it's set up for you. So we make sure that we verify everything. I'll tell you, I don't think any person that has come into our office, and there might be a few exceptions to this, knows how much they spend.
Oh, no. When you ask someone how much they spend, we do our own personal analysis because we ask you for some bank statements, and we don't care how you spend individually on groceries or getting your hair done
Makes
or
no
golf.
difference to us.
I don't care about that. But generally what we find is what people think they spend versus what they do spend is generally off about 40%. And that's a pretty significant number.
Easily.
Especially when you start to think to yourself, in retirement, I'm not getting a paycheck anymore, and I'm going to need to rely on the resources that I've accumulated
Right.
to support my life, along with maybe Social Security and a pension.
And for us to give an estimate of how you're going to do that or how your accounts need to be positioned, we need to know what that monthly spending number looks like.
Yeah, so I asked this individual, so when you're talking about the investment portfolio, if they're basically talking about to you
That's
about
all
your
they're
investment
tracking,
portfolio,
right?
you know, what kind of advice are they giving you? He said they basically just come back and they say, well, here's the changes that we made in your portfolio. Here's how your portfolio is doing. And that's it. He says, they never ask me about my vacation plans or how I plan on spending money or how my parents are or what the beneficiaries are on my life insurance or at my 401k or the tax returns. They don't review my tax returns. They don't review my automobile or homeowners policies. None of that stuff. And I said, well, do you pay them a fee? And he told me the fee that that he was paying. And the fee was very comparable to the fee that you'd pay most financial investment advisors, us included.
Right.
He says, but what you offer, Mark, he says, taking a look at someone's tax return every year and helping them understand where's the best place to take money or what's a smart strategy or
Right.
reviewing their 401k, even though you're not placing those assets under management, or giving me advice on what my withholding should be on my pay stub.
Exactly.
Or a number of things. He says, do you charge more for that? Is that an additional financial planning fee? No. What's the case, Mary?
And we don't. That is included in our financial planning fee. So we charge an asset management fee once you've placed assets under our management. And as an ongoing relationship, that's how we get paid. We do not charge anything extra for the financial planning component. And yet, we'll both tell you that when clients come into the office, we spend considerably more time talking about the financial planning aspect of it than we do the returns on the accounts. The returns on the accounts are what they are. I mean, yes, we try to keep up with other firms in terms of returns on accounts, but you know what? When they go up, they go up. When they go down, they go down. Not that we don't try to avoid some of that, but we try to keep it in line. So it's in line with your risk tolerance and your time horizon. But we're much more concerned with when you're going to need money, how much you're going to need, how are we going to do this in the most tax efficient manner possible. Those are the questions that we're looking at. Do you need any extra life insurance if you have young children? Are you going to need to buy a car? Do you need estate planning work? So we are very concerned about all of those aspects of your financial life, which are extremely important.
Yeah, and many people don't realize part of the relationship they have with our office, in addition to your stuff, is you may have children. And your children may be starting their first job, and they don't know the first thing about a 401k. They don't know anything about benefits. They don't know about what withholding to put on their pay stubs. We will offer to our clients that benefit to their children as an included service. Or perhaps you have aging parents, and they're debating should they sell their home and move into a retirement community, or how might you help them with those costs. Those are services that we're going to provide, and we don't charge extra for that. When you're paying us a fee, we tell our clients, maybe the fee that you're paying us, and I'll use this as an example, 1% of the assets under management, that fee includes everything, and perhaps 1/4 of that 1% covers the cost of investment management. The rest of it is covering all of the other planning services and advice you need. What you find at companies like, and I'm using them purely as an example, but referencing this person who called, the Fidelity PAS program or the Fisher Investments program, you're basically paying a fee for investment management services. And that's about it. But in addition to that, at many of those programs, you have little to no control as to how that money is invested. Or
once you've decided up
right,
front, yes,
once you've decided,
exactly.
They're putting that into a pool of investments, right, Mary?
That's correct. You have no control over that. You have no control how much they trade over the course of the year. And honestly, most of those programs do not take into consideration the tax consequences of any of those trades. It's all about asset allocation or how much they want in different buckets of investments. It's not about taxes. It's not about anything surrounding the actual allocation and investments in the portfolio.
And for many clients who are they're in retirement, for instance, and they want to take money out on a monthly basis, how do some of these firms pull money out compared to the way we pull money out of accounts to meet income?
Well, the way most of these firms, these automated, many of them have automated systems that manage the money. So if you need, let's say you need $5,000 a month to live your life, they will take a small percentage of that from each investment in that account, such that they keep the allocation exactly equal. So they will take proportionate amounts out so that they don't change the allocation, which means they could make 20 trades to get you the $5,000. We take a totally different approach, and we look at it and say, okay, well, this is the general goal of the portfolio. This is the general way we want it set up. This particular category or asset class, large growth, for instance, has done really well over the course of this year. It's time probably to pare back on that. However, we also look at the tax considerations as well. And we might have a couple of large growth investments and say, well, this one is more tax efficient to take the money from than the other one. So that's how we look at it. We try to take a much broader view as opposed to just an automated system.
Because we have every person in the office has their own individualized portfolio.
Correct.
Not everybody has the same portfolio, and this is the way we do it. It is very customized, very unique, and very designed to your particular needs.
And for the most part, it is not automated.
That's right. And that's what we call financial advice in a language you can understand. If now's the time for you to get serious about your financial planning or investment management needs, especially with the year coming to an end and looking perhaps for a fresh start, we hope you'll give our office a call, 978-531-8108. That's 978-531-8108. Or visit us on the web where you can get all the information about our fees, our services, the types of clients we serve, how our process works. It's all there for you, even our information kit. It's all available on the website, freedmanfinancial.com. That's Freedman.
2 E's and a D.
Financial.com, and you can go to the bottom of any page, put in your name, your email address, sign up for our weekly newsletter that's been issued every Friday since March of 2009. Lands in your inbox 10:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, every Friday. That's going to do it for us this week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We'll see you again next week with more financial advice in a language you can understand. You've been watching Dollars and Cents.
See you later. Bye.
During today's episode of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, your host may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.